it's not even about the personal part. There are serious differences that I have with him. You know, he doesn't think that we need to be helping Israel. He sides with Putin and thinks that Ukraine doesn't matter. He's okay with giving Taiwan to China. There's so many issues. He doesn't think America needs friends. That's dangerous. I think he has a dangerous foreign policy that we can't afford, and I think he would make America less safe.
He called you Dick Cheney in 3-inch heels. Do you think that was sexist?
I don't even give him the time of day. He has proven that he is just not worthy of being president of the United States. Everybody knows it. Everybody sees it. There's so many things that he said that were just uncalled for tonight. But, you know, I'll let people decide that. We've got real serious issues. We've got to talk about what's happening. We've got wars all around the world. We've got an economy that's in shambles. We've got a border that's open. And we've got a lot of families that are concerned.
All right, guys, so in our continuation of the GOP debate that happened in Miami last night, we have to talk about foreign policy, which is kind of a big deal in the Republican Party because the Republican Party is full of neocons, people who essentially want to fight every single war that we have an opportunity to get into because they get kickbacks from defense contractors and the rich who heavily invest in these wars, okay? And even though I didn't like the fact that NBC focused most of the debate talking about other countries and how we can fund and help out other countries rather than help out our country, rather than to protect our border, okay, and to protect the American citizens here, I think it was important to have the conversation because Vivek Ramaswamy has proven to be right, particularly when it comes to this issue of Ukraine, and the sense that Ukraine basically is at a point where we have to move towards peace. Okay, the American people do not want to continue to fund the war, okay, and sending hundreds of millions, billions of dollars to Ukraine, and they're essentially in a stalemate that has not resulted in the outcome that the establishment and the politicians were telling us was going to happen as a result of funding the war. It is getting extremely desperate for Ukraine. You have Zelensky going on national television and begging for money, begging for funds.
If you can't give us some financial support, okay, please give us a credit and we will give you back money.
But it seems like the jig is up because even the neocons of the Republican Party, they are now walking back. They're walking back their position on Ukraine in regards to funding. And you saw a whole lot of that at the GOP debate. And this is particularly fascinating because we were told during prior debates by Nikki Birdbrain Haley, Curry Bush Jr., Dick Cheney, and Hills that walking back funding of Ukraine or calling for peace is basically being pro-Putin. You want to give Ukraine to Putin. However, again, in this debate, they don't seem to be as hawkish as they've been prior, and that is because Vivek Ramaswamy came out of the gate and dropped a massive bomb on the narrative in regards to what's going on with the war in Ukraine.
Senator Scott, Mr. Ramaswamy, are you persuaded by President Zelensky's urgent new plea? Where do you stand on more funding?
I'm absolutely unpersuaded. And I'm actually enjoying watching the Ukraine hawks quietly, delicately tiptoe back from their position as this thing has unwound into a disaster. The first half of this race, I was the only person standing for it. Now they're actually quietly coming around to being more cautious as they should. Level with the American people here. Ukraine is not a paragon of democracy. This is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties. It has consolidated all media into one state TV media arm. That's not democratic. It has threatened not to hold elections this year unless the U.S. forks over more money. That is not democratic. It has celebrated a Nazi in its ranks, the comedian in cargo pants, a man called Zelensky, doing it in their own ranks. That is not democratic. More facts for you that you won't hear from the mainstream in either party or the mainstream media. The regions of Ukraine that are occupied by Russia right now in the Donbass, Luhansk, Donetsk, these are Russian-speaking regions that have not even been part of Ukraine since 2014. That other people probably couldn't name those provinces for you. Those are the hard facts. And and sort of frame this as some kind of battle between good versus evil, don't buy it. And I'd like the likes of the sharpest of the war hawks on Ukraine, Nikki Haley, to have some accountability and answer. Do you want to use U.S. taxpayer money to fund the banning of Christians? That is actually what's happening. They're using the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. They have banned them. The Ukrainian parliament just did this last week, supported by our dollars. And I think you owe it to the American people, Nikki, to at least this one time at least condemn.
Thank you. That's time.
At least to condemn their banning of Christians.
Mr. Ramaswamy, thank you. Mr. Ramaswamy, thank you. We asked the questions.
And if people like Nikki Haley are serious about trying to deal with the debt/deficit, then we need to trim the fat in regards to spending. And funding foreign wars is the fat when it comes to spending in this country. And speaking of trimming fat, I gotta let you guys know how you can trim the fat in your own life. And that is why the sponsor of this video is BioTrust. When it comes to stubborn belly fat, we're all looking for a miracle pill. Generally, you have to use multiple different products that target belly fat differently to manage excess fat around the abdominal area. Some products may focus on abdominal exercises or dietary changes, while others may focus on boosting metabolism or controlling cravings. Believe it or not, I found an exceptional alternative that uses naturally sourced and science-backed ingredients from Mother Earth and is more effective at targeting that stubborn belly fat, enhancing metabolism and promoting a toned midsection better than most weight management products that I've seen on the shelves at stores. And that is Belly Trim by BioTrust. Tens of thousands of 5-star reviews back up the notion that this amazing pill is not only a breakthrough in a bottle, but that it also helps remove the need for us to use countless diet pills and fat-burning supplements. The best part I love is that you can get 51% off for the rest of the month or until they sell out, whichever comes first. Plus, you'll receive several additional gifts valued at over $500 with every order for a limited time, including free shipping, a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, free VIP live health and fitness coaching for life, and 2 free new ebooks titled Top 10 Foods That Burn Belly Fat and Top 8 Exercises to Reduce Belly Fat at no additional cost to you. Go to trimwithpatriot.com. That's trimwithpatriot.com, or click the link down in the description below before this once-in-a-lifetime deal sells out.
What is your take on more funding for Ukraine?
I am telling you, Putin and President Xi are salivating at the thought that someone like that could become president. They would love to see
The fact of the matter is she doesn't answer
So this
the
is
question.
what I will tell you.
We're driving Russia into China's hands
Ramaswamy,
because of
you
these
had
foolish
your time
policies.
to talk. The ambassador has the floor.
Thank
Ambassador,
you. The
please.
first thing I'll tell you is we all remember what that thug did when he invaded Ukraine. We all know that 500,000 people have died because of Putin. And here is a freedom-loving, pro-American country that is fighting for its survival and its democracy. No, I don't think we should give them cash. I think we should give them the equipment and the ammunition to win. And I'll tell you, if Biden had done it when they first asked for it, this war would be over. But let's also remember this. When you left Afghanistan in shambles and left them with a ton of weapons and money, it's not that we left, it's how we left. When you look at Ukraine, don't think for a second, now everybody wants to move away from Ukraine. They'll want to move away from Israel a year from now. America can never be so arrogant to think we don't need friends. After 9/11, we needed a lot of friends. Now is the time to get partnerships. This unholy alliance between Russia, Ukraine, and China is real. There is a reason that Taiwanese want us to support the Ukrainians. It's because they know that China is coming after them next. There is a reason Ukrainians want us to support Israelis, because they know that if Iran wins, Russia wins.
Ambassador.
We have to see the combination of the three.
Ambassador.
Notice how she didn't answer the question about the Christians, right? She didn't answer questions about that, right? She didn't answer the main question that Vivek Ramaswamy asked her, which is about the allegations of Ukraine allegedly banning certain sects of Christianity in the country, and whether or not we should be funding that? Should we be supporting that? Considering how, the Republican Party, conservatives are supposed to be, pro-freedom of religion. And according to people like Nikki Haley, Ukraine is just an American outpost, right? They're a freedom-loving, American-loving nation, okay? They have the same values that we have, according to her. But again, she avoids answering that question because she knows in her head what the truth is, right? She doesn't really give a damn about Ukraine being a democracy or any of the stuff that they come out here and they virtue signal about to get ignorant, naive people to get on board with sending trillions of dollars overseas to other countries in fighting their wars, right? What's actually really going on here is that she benefits, right? She gets paid. She gets kickbacks because she worked in the defense contracting industry. She was in a lot of debt after she left the UN. So now she has to try to cash in on her connections, okay? And that is essentially what her whole presidential campaign is about, okay? That's what it's about. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and play this clip of Tim Scott and his answer, because this guy at one of the prior GOP debates tried to skirt around this issue, right, by saying that, well, the money we're giving to Ukraine is a loan, right? It's a loan, okay? Now he's taking a whole different type of tune in regards to the funding. Take a look.
Senator Scott, where do you stand on more funding for Ukraine?
I certainly have been very supportive of Ukraine. I believe that ultimately we should make sure that the President of the United States states what is America's national vital interest in Ukraine. It is actually in degrading the Russian military. We've been very effective using our resources and our weaponry and the incredibly high price of Ukrainian blood to achieve that objective. Every day we get closer to the degradation of the Russian military, and that's good news. But the American people are frustrated that they do not have a president who reminds us and tells us, where's the accountability? Where are those dollars? How are those dollars being spent? We need those answers for us to continue to see the support for Ukraine. And at the same time, I would say that a package that's been offered by the president for Ukraine and Israel, that's the wrong approach. We need to focus specifically on providing Israel with the $14 billion that they need so that we show the world that we are 100% undeniably standing shoulder to shoulder with Israel. And then as we turn away from that direct support for Israel, we should go to our southern border and close our southern border with the resources necessary. I believe that we have sleeper terrorist cells in America. Thousands of people have come from Yemen, Iran, Syria, and Iraq. If we are going to deal with the national security emergency at our border, we have to do it now.
Senator Scott.
Yeah, so interesting response there from Tim Scott. First and foremost, did you guys see what he said at the beginning, right? He essentially said the quiet part out loud about what this is really about. It's about sacrificing innocent Ukrainian lives, civilians, okay, and also their soldiers as well, too, in order to degrade the Russian military. This is literally what this man said on a national debate stage, which, hey, I respect him for telling the truth, right? I respect him for saying that rather than coming out here and talking like Bird Brain Haley. It's about democracy and freedom and all this other stuff that they say, again, to naive people to try to get people on board with it. I respect the fact that he's straight up. But again, it's about degrading the Russian military, okay? It's about strategic military interests, okay? But if you notice, what he's saying now is he's walking back his position in regards to just giving the blank check to Ukraine that most of these Republican politicians have taken before in the past. Then he's saying, well, we need accountability. He wouldn't really answer the question directly in regards to whether or not he would support continued funding. The reason why is because the polls are clear about where voters stand on this, that people don't want to keep sending money to fight this war while our southern border is in a complete state of disaster, right? The only place we should be declaring war or fighting any war is at the southern border. In fact, you have Tim Scott's colleague, Lindsey Graham, who is one of the biggest war hawks, right? He's now even come out and basically saying, well, I don't even want to fund Israel if we don't fund our southern border first. Take a look.
This is the same administration that is having more illegal immigrants cross our border illegally than all presidents combined. They don't know what they're doing on the border. They don't know what they're doing when it comes to bad guys. If you had Donald Trump as president, we would secure the border tomorrow. People would listen to him in Mexico and other places because they're afraid of him. If he were president of the United States, this stuff with Iran would end. The only thing that works with bad guys is to be strong. Our border is broken. Our policies don't work. It's a matter of time till a bunch of Americans get killed. I will not vote for one dime for any country, including Israel, until we first secure our own border.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not convinced that that clip is real, okay? Because I'm just saying, when you live in a world, when you're in a political environment where Republicans, okay, are basically saying, I wouldn't fund Israel. I wouldn't send a dime to Israel until we protect and secure our southern border. You know that the American people, that the base, is fed up with sending money overseas, right, to fight other people's wars, okay? If these people are talking about not sending money to Israel, unless we protect our border, unless we secure our border, oh yeah, the people have spoken, right? The people have spoken, and the neocons are capitulating, okay? They're bending the knee. But again, the reality is this. We know now, because the mainstream liberal media has admitted, that again, the Ukraine war is at a stalemate, that the hundreds of billions of dollars that we have sent and that we're proposing to send is not doing anything except degrading the Russian military and costing Ukrainians their lives, but it's actually not achieving any objectives in regards to Ukraine taking back their territory, right? We know that that's not happening. So at this point, we have to move towards peace, which again was a position that was called pro-Putin when people like Vivek Ramaswamy and others were saying that this is ultimately what is going to have to happen, right? And it's just, it blows my mind how Vivek can be right and ahead of this issue, okay? And to be smeared as a foreign policy novice. He knows nothing about foreign policy, okay? He is an idiot on this issue. When you have people like Nikki Haley, the Lindsey Grahams of the world, Chris Christie, others, whose foreign policy has been an absolute disaster, okay? For as long as I've been alive, right? It's been an absolute disaster. These people have more credibility even when they're constantly wrong, okay, on foreign policy than somebody like Vivek, who's ahead of the curve, who essentially said, this is what we're going to have to do. And then lo and behold, a few months later, this is what is happening, right? We have to come to the table and force Ukraine to make peace with Russia, right? I mean, it's amazing. It really is. And again, these are the same people who want to come out here and to talk about the debt and the deficit problem, but a third of our national debt is due to wars, right? It's due to spending trillions of dollars overseas fighting other people's wars, okay? That's the reason why. Our debt is out of control because we spend too much on military. And until Republicans actually really understand that, look, we have to be more efficient. We have to be smarter about how we spend our funds, our taxpayer dollars, when it comes to fighting wars and defense. Nothing's gonna change. Nothing's gonna change. Okay? Because it's not a good look to come out here and to say, well, we gotta cut entitlements, which, hey, I agree. But we can't stop fighting wars overseas, right? Again, it just looks hypocritical. It doesn't look like you're actually serious about solving the debt/deficit problem, okay? And I'm not one of these people that think we shouldn't spend a ton of money on the military. We should. We should spend a ton of money on the military. But I believe that there are places where we should cut the fat, right? Where there's inefficiencies, where we can afford to cut the fat. We can afford to invest in things that are going to keep the country safer in the future, and also the immediate threats to our own soil, which is happening at the southern border and the northern border as well too, which Vivek Ramaswamy is the only person talking about that. We got to protect our own borders. That's where a lot of our defense spending should be, okay? And again, I'm not saying that we should not, spend a ton of money on defense. We should. Absolutely. We should make sure that we have the best military in the world, that we have the most advanced technologies, that we're investing in space. But we have to do it efficiently. We cannot just continue to just fight everybody else's wars and send money overseas to protect other countries when it does not advance American interests. You cannot be serious about the debt/deficit problem if you're not serious about cutting spending across the board. That is reality. It's not something that is a popular thing to say, but that is the reality of the situation we're in when it comes to spending and solving the debt crisis. Okay? Vivek is the only person that's saying that out loud, right? Nobody else is really telling the truth about how to actually really solve the debt crisis. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.